Hello and welcome everyone to Site 24/7 webinar series. My name is Vilango. I'm the product expert. I'll be presenting the webinar today. So today's topic is the importance of end-user experience monitoring for the success of digital businesses. So today's agenda will be seeing what is digital user experience, the front-end monitoring. We'll be seeing the difference between synthetic and real user monitoring and how it comes under front-end monitoring. We'll also be seeing the backend monitoring, how it is important for the end user experience monitoring, and a little introduction to Site 24/7 capabilities. So what is end user experience monitoring in this digital world? So before understanding the end user experience, we should understand the difference between the online user experience and the offline user experience. So offline users will have, the experience in the sense will have a good experience if you have a good product, very good brand, excellent service at your shop. And the offline and the online users will be happy if you have a attractive website, easy access to every page, and user friendly. But the frustration begins with the offline users only at the billing counter. So if you have a perfect store, the customer has nothing to complain about except the billing part. In case if it is festive season and if it is overcrowded at the billing section, people will be frustrated, obviously. So that is a only place a person or a customer will be getting frustrated. Whereas an online user, if the page is not designed properly, or if the page is taking a longer time to load, or if your page is responding with code, a HTTPS code other than 200, if it is taking a longer time to load the page to make the payment. So every experience, every action the user performs on your web page will reflect in your revenue. So slow is the new down. So even if your website is available, if it is very slow, the customer will tend to move to a different vendor. So the end user experience at the digital level is more critical than the offline user experience. So the rise of digital transformation has moved almost every sector to the digital world. So even this unexplored sectors like legislature is moving towards cloud. They are moving towards online. So now you can order food online. You can have an entertainment portal. You can watch movies online. You'll be able to book hotels. You'll be able to conduct meetings. So so far people who are working from office have moved to work from home, and all the meetings are happening online. So every business discussion is happening online. So everything is online. So it is very important to consider this digital transformation and monitor every user's experience. So these are some statistics which gives us an idea about how the user experience is very important for any business. So 48% of users says that they feel frustrated or annoyed when the site is poorly designed or poorly optimized for the mobile. So almost every customer is moving towards, is using mobile to access a portal or access application, which is very easy and convenient than using their desktop or laptops. So it is very important to optimize your web page, or at least your mobile mobile-driven portal to support to support any mobile application, any mobile devices. So if it is not well optimized, nearly half of the users are moving out of your business. And slow loading website will cost a retailer 2.6 billion loss in sales each year. And a staggering 1 in 4 people will abandon a page that takes longer than 4 seconds to load. And not only the page load time or the slow web page, it is also important to monitor the availability of your website. There is no errors, except the 200 response code. There is no app crashes. You have a faster page load time and no page timeout. So all this can be monitored. All this can be observed and tracked using the digital user experience monitoring. So before getting into the digital user experience monitoring, we can classify the experience into front and back end. A user will be viewing only the application, only the web interface or the mobile interface to access the products or access their portal. But they will never know what is happening at the backend. So it is also important to monitor the backend infrastructure. It is also important to monitor the backend happenings in your application. So when it comes to front end, we will be seeing what are the different types of monitoring that you can do at the front end and the pros and cons of it, and what you have to do at the backend application performance monitoring. On top of monitoring, the most important part is data collection. So every data that you collect is critical. Every second or every minute data is very critical. So it is not enough to monitor just the availability and the performance of your web page and get notification. It is also important to monitor the trend. It is very important to monitor the trend. I mean, it is very important to analyze the data and receive a notification and set a benchmark for your web page. So if your web page is exhibiting 3000 milliseconds before a new build update, and if it has reduced to 2000 milliseconds, and if it is performing well, it is very important to set the benchmark or reduce the threshold to 2000 milliseconds and monitor your website's performance. So it is, I mean, only by gathering enough data, you'll be able to optimize the web page to the latest browser update and so on. And it is also important to monitor the mean time to repair, to reduce the mean time to repair value. So with front-end monitoring, we have two different types of monitoring. I mean, you can monitor through real user monitoring or synthetic monitoring. So we are going to see what is the difference between a real user and a synthetic monitoring. So synthetic monitoring is a robotic type of monitoring. I mean, here you will be able to choose the location server of your choice. So here you will not be able to monitor the user's experience in real time. Instead, you will be choosing a location server, and the location server acts like a user, and it will keep on sending the request, the HTTPS request to your website, and it will tell you whether the website is available or not, how much time it takes to load, what are the contents present on your web page. I mean, if you are checking for any specific keyword, and it will alert you if anything is missing, a threshold breach or the downtime of your website. So it is robotic. So you will not be able to understand the user's experience. So here, as I said, since you have 110 plus location servers, you'll be having a primary location from New York, a secondary location from Dallas, another third location from London. So if you have users from London and New York region, but you will miss to understand the user's experience from other part of the country or other part of the world, in case if you have considerable users from other regions as well. So this one will tell you the availability of your website. It will monitor the availability of your website around the clock, and it will keep on updating about the status of your web page. So that is also an advanced version of website monitoring, which is synthetic transaction monitoring. I mean, a usual website monitor will monitor only the URL that you mentioned, only the home page or a single URL that you add. So if you want to monitor all the availability of all the pages, let's say you have 20 pages on your web application, all the 20 pages has to be added as a single monitor in website monitoring. So the advanced version of the website or the synthetic monitoring is synthetic transaction monitoring. Here you will be able to record a transaction, you'll be able to simulate a transaction, and you can receive notification based on the threshold that you set or the availability of each and every page and the page load time. So the important part here is you will be monitoring a set of steps. So if you consider the user interaction on your website is very important. I mean, user interaction in the sense the payment option, like user entering the credentials, logging into the account, the first step, selecting a product, the second step, adding it to the cart, the third one, making a payment, the fourth step, and the fifth step is logging out. So all these 5 steps will be simulated in the same way that you recorded, like entering the user credential, choosing the product, making the payment, or logging out. So these steps will be simulated on every poll, let it be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. On every poll, it does the same thing, and it will send you an alert. So these 5 steps are very critical for your business. So you'll be monitoring these 5 steps, or it can be 10 steps or 20 steps. Out of 100 different pages on your web application, you will be monitoring only the 20 critical steps, and it is very important. So whenever there is a failure in any of these steps, or if it is not able to process the payment, go through the payment gateway and it is getting failed before moving to the last step, you will be receiving a notification. So to understand that better, I'll show you how to record a transaction. I'll go to site 24/7 account, go to web. So I'll be able to see all the internet services monitoring here, website, web transaction, browser. I can find a plugin for the Chrome. So it's the only recording tool. Earlier, we used to have Windows and Mac OS 6 recorder. So now we have eradicated all those things and we have come up with Chrome, which is better and faster now with less error. You can also update Selenium scripts if you want directly to the recorder. So I've added the plugin. So if I click on the plugin, it will automatically take me to the monitor. It'll automatically take me to the recorder. So the recorder will be logged in with the same credential. So I have to just log in into the Chrome browser, into site 24/7 with my credential. And if I install the plugin and if I click on it, it will use the same credential to log into my account. So here I'll simply record a transaction. Whatever the things that I do on the browser, or what are the things that is very important to my application, I'll simply record that. I click on products. I click on I know. That's enough for the demo. So I will just close this. So I've recorded 3 steps. I can see the steps that I've recorded with the actions that I performed. I'll stop this and I'll play back and save. So here I can choose a page load time, the resolution if I want. So it's better to leave the default settings here. Importantly, I can choose the Chrome or Firefox browser of my choice. So I'll leave it to Chrome here. And I can choose the geographical location from where this recording needs to be happening. So if I click on next, it'll ask me to add a new monitor, which I'll do. And I can choose a location profile. So as I said, you can have a primary, secondary, and tertiary locations from where the data collection will be happening. That's all. I'll save this monitor. So once I save this, I'll be able to see the transaction, successful transaction here. Here I can see the steps that I recorded, and I'll be able to see the transaction time. I can check for a keyword from each and every page, and I can make sure the transaction is happening. There is no problem with the important sequence in my web application. So that is what synthetic monitoring offers. So it will help you to monitor the availability of your web page. It will help you to understand how fast your service is by monitoring the page load time, and it will simulate every step and every page load time, and it will make by setting a threshold and by receiving notification. So the pros and cons of synthetic monitoring is first, the pros, the merits of synthetic monitoring is it's an active monitor. So it works round the clock. The simulation will never stop. Every 5 minutes or every minute or every 10 minutes, whatever the set frequency that you set, the polling never stops. It will keep on polling your website and make sure the website is available round the clock. And it is proactive, so you can set threshold. As I said, if you consider your page load time or the response time is 3 seconds, 3000 milliseconds, you can set a value, and if the 3000 milliseconds is violated, you will be receiving a notification. But the demerits of synthetic monitoring is it doesn't understand the user experience. As I said at the beginning of the session, you will be able to monitor only from the locations that you have chosen. So if you have users from different part of the world, other than the locations that you have chose, you'll not be able to understand their experience, their response time. And even if there is if it is taking longer time to reach the request, the page, if there is a timeout or page load timeout value, you'll not be able to understand that. And the visibility is limited. As I said, since you're recording only a bunch of steps out of all the web pages that you have, you will not be able to understand the user's experience or what is happening on the other pages, which still you consider not very important. but it may be very important for other customers. For example, if you have a web page where you want to monitor the login sequence, the product details, about us pages, and so on, but you do not want to give importance to the career section. But if a person wants to apply for a job through the career section, and if the page is not loading properly, you might not know what's happening there until otherwise someone is complaining about the web page. So that is a demerit of the synthetic monitoring. So let's see what is real user monitoring and how it is different from synthetic monitoring. So real user monitoring will help you to understand the user's experience in real time. So here we will be giving you a JavaScript snippet for every application that you want to monitor. The snippet has to be added to the header or the footer of your web page. So whenever a user tries to access your web page, we'll monitor the user's experience in real time, and we will update the aptex code. I mean, whether he's a frustrated user or a happy customer. So all these details will be monitored by the snippet. So it will let you know the ISP through which a user is trying to access, the browser through which is trying to access your web page, along with its version, the devices, I mean, whether it is a Mac or a Windows machine or Android device, you will be able to understand the user's experience on different device, different browser, and different ISP. On top of it, you'll also be able to monitor the JavaScript errors. You can analyze Ajax calls, and you can also take snapshots. Let me give you an example. I mean, a demo on how it looks like, and I'll be able to add a snippet to a web page right now, but I can show you how the data collection works. So a snippet looks like this. So there's a snippet that you have to add to your web page. So I can see users from different part of the world for this particular web application, and users from United States is a very good score, very good aptex score with happy customers, whereas users from South American region or China are not very happy. So they are frustrated. So this one will give you a granular information on which state and which country the users are from. It will tell you the ISP details, as I said, which ISP is working well, the browser details along with its version. So you can suggest or revamp your web page according to the latest browsers, the device type, Mac or Windows or Android devices, and the resources. You can monitor the Ajax calls, as I said, and the JavaScript errors. So you'll be able to drill down each and every calls, every errors that you're seeing here. And you can see the exceptions along with the breadcrumbs value. So the real user monitor is very helpful to understand the user's interaction, every user's activity on your web page. It will help you to measure the aptex score and the browser experience and the ISP details and the device usage. And you can monitor the performance bottleneck as well with the real user monitoring. So will there be a demerit on real user monitoring? Obviously. So the pros is it is a passive monitoring, whereas the synthetic monitoring is the active monitoring. So synthetic monitoring, I mean, the demerits of synthetic monitoring are the merits of real user monitoring, and the demerits of real user monitoring are the merits of synthetic monitoring. So as you see here, this is a passive monitoring. So it captures the user's interaction then and there, and it'll help you to understand the real-time statistics. I mean, you'll be able to understand the user's experience in real time and detect the performance issues instantly. But the demerits is you will not be able to understand the availability of your web page if there is no user. So consider it is out of, it is out of business hours, and you will have a less traffic or sometimes no traffic on your web page. And if you're using only real user monitoring without the help of synthetic monitoring, you'll not be able to understand whether your website is available or not. It might be the case at 2 a.m. in the morning, I did not have any user, but by 3 a.m. I got a user who wants to make a payment or who wants to purchase a product, but he was not able to access the website. He'll go to a different website at the same time. And it works for different time zones as well. So based on your time zone, you might not have a traffic, but user from a different time zone wants to access your web page. So if there is no real-time user activity, you'll not be able to understand the availability or the performance of your web page. and you will not have a clear visibility on the important steps that you want to monitor. So in synthetic monitoring, you will keep on simulating the important steps. I mean, for example, the payment gateway. Here, if we have very less number of users accessing the payment gateway, or if there is no users accessing the payment gateway, you'll not be able to understand whether the payment gateway is available or not. So it is important to have both the monitoring. So in this digital era, it is important to monitor, or important to have both synthetic and real user monitoring to have, to monitor the user's experience, at least the front-end experience in real time. Whereas the backend monitoring here, we are not going to see the complete infrastructure, backend infrastructure monitoring. Instead, we'll be seeing only the application performance monitoring here. The application performance monitoring will help you to track the codes which is causing a poor performance. It can be a database calls or a third-party calls that's happening at the backend. It will help you to monitor the slow traces and transactions, along with the response time and throughput. So an Apm Insight at the developer level. So a user might see a page which is taking a longer time to load, but at the backend, developer will be able to see which transaction is taking a longer time to load, and if there is any exceptions, or if there is any error traces that is causing slowness of the web page. So they can visualize a topology. They can have a tree-like structure and see which node is failing and which is causing the trouble. So it will help them to get insightful alerts on the performance and the response time errors and exceptions by setting a threshold. And you can also integrate the real user monitor with the application performance monitoring inside 24/7, and you can see both, analyze both the front end and back-end user experience in the same window. So that is what the application performance monitoring is. So it will help you to identify the root cause for the poor performance, and will help you to visualize the transaction flow. To debug the application and to reduce the mean time to repair value. So the advantage of Site 24/7 doesn't end only with monitoring the availability of the performance of your web page. It will help you, it will give you the root cause analysis report with the ping, DNS, trace route, and the screenshot of the error, which will help you to understand what went wrong on your web page. And anomaly detection is a child step towards artificial intelligence. So even if you miss to set a threshold for any of the attribute of your web application, the anomaly detection will analyze the data for the first 4 weeks, and it will set a threshold on its own based on the daily average. It will set a response time average, and if there is any spike, it will send you a notification instantly. And you do not have to rely only on your email or SMS notification. You can simply use a custom dashboard. You can add different widgets, and you can create your own dashboard, and you can instantly see the status then and there. So Site 24/7, it's not just only end user experience monitoring tool. It is a full stack all-in-one monitoring tool. So it will help you to monitor the availability of your website, the performance of your server, the cloud infrastructure, performance of your applications. It can be Java, .NET, PHP, Ruby on Rails, or Node.js. It'll help you to monitor the performance of your network devices through SNMP protocol. You can monitor real user monitoring, as we see, and the app log analysis. So Site 24/7 is a single console to monitor your entire infrastructure, both front-end and back-end. On top of this, you can receive notifications, and you can view all the happenings, the dashboards and the statistics on your mobile. We have our own mobile application for iOS and Android devices, and you can also integrate with any third-party application using webhooks or any of the out-of-the-box integration, what you see here, and receive notification there. And finally, Site 24/7 has 10,000 customers across the globe, and it is following all the security practices like software certification, ISO 27001, GDPR compliance, to make sure the data is very secure. And these are the partial listing of all our customers. And you can use this information to reach us, to reach our sales or support, or you can go through our forum, help guide, training, and knowledge base. And you can reach us through phone for US, Australia, UK, and India. All right, so that's all for today.